In this lecture, we have to discuss two consecutive points, which is media representation, and 6.5, which is models of the media effects. If we talk about the different groups are represented in the media accurately by describing its really is, such as photograph, and inaccurately through the deliberate and accident misinterpretations. So we have to discuss from a different point of view. So number one is class. We are talking about the media representation is class. So media representation of the social class take a range of the form which different classes stereotypically represent in different ways. Working class, for example, routinely represent through the relatively narrow and limited range of the identities like historical and the contemporary. Historical and contemporary. Historical and temporary. Historical, such as popular costumes, dramas that focus on the poverty and criminality and the social issues. While the contemporary, where a similar range of the themes with the working class life represented through the socially problematic behaviors such as crime, welfare, dependency, unemployment, and the violence or the causal sex. Recurrent themes. Then we have recurrent themes. Recurrent themes from news reports to documentaries to entertainment shows represent the working class, dangerous, people to fear because of their unpredictability. That was a dangerous. Recurrent themes we have dangerous, people to be feared because of their unpredictability, and the problematic. Problematic in terms of their involvement in the legal immoral behaviors and depend on the both state. Depend on both the state and the tolerance, and generously to the middle and the upper classes. Then representation from the point of view of gender. Gender stereotypes relating to the masculinity and femininity generally focus on the two areas, physical and the emotional, while traditional representations tend to reinforce the clear gender differences. Contemporary representation occasionally display a greater coming together of the gender. These representations are important in two ways. Number one, how they have changed. How they have changed. The greater frequency with which male bodies are represented, especially by advertiser, as sexually desirable for a woman and culturally desirable for a man. Number second, the way in which they are not changed. Not changed. Female bodies are still used to sell everything from cars to camping equipment, and men are still allowed to greater range of acceptable body shapes. Then the third one is ethnicity. Ethnicity. Representation of the minority ethnic groups reflect the fact that they are likely to be in a disadvantaged position and to have a little influence on the media content. One feature of the ethnic representation in the Western media is the gradual disappearance of crude stereotypes and demanding the representation of the black people, while overt racism is no longer tolerated. Black ethnics are represented in a way that stress the cultural rather than biologicals. So this in turn reflects the two form of representation. Number one, over representation. Over representation in areas such as news and the fiction, minorities are represented as both guilty and the victim. You can use reporting of Africa, for example, represent the black ethnics are victims of the natural disaster and perpetrators of the man-made disaster. and the other one is underrepresentation. Underrepresentation. Underrepresentation in areas such as advertising and the drama. For example, the UK members of the minority ethnic group appear in advertisement less often than they would be expected given the proportion of the popularity they make up. And the fourth one is age. Ownership and the control of the national and the global media is often characterized as a middle-aged, middle class, and the male. This idea of the power and the control suggests that representation of the young people are largely constructed through an adult gaze. How this power is used, however, varies across time and space. So we can describe it as number one, on one level. On one level, children are represented in terms of their innocent and uncorrupted nature. Number second, on another, they are represented as unruly, lacking self-control, and requiring adult discipline and guidance. So that was the basically media, what we can say, media representation from the different point of views. Now, the 6.5, which is the models, which basically represent the effects of the media. So what we are going to discuss is the hypodermic syringe model. Hypodermic syringe model. Hypodermic syringe model. Models that argue that the media have direct effect on behavior are sometimes called media centric. They are sometimes described as a strong media, weak audience models because they suggest that media can be used to control the audience. Older forms of this model suggest that relatively simple, direct and the effect relationship between the media and the audience. A good example, this is a hypersonage model, which argues that media messages are like a drug inject into the audience mind, which are transmitted and received by the audience in a way that change or reinforce their ideas and behavior. Media messages therefore determine how audience see as and understand the world is directly measurable causal fashions. So the transmission of media can be in a two ways. Transmission of media can be in two ways. Number one, information source. Then information source such as the government announcement, such as government announcement, number second, the transmission of source, the transmission source, transmission source such as newspaper, or television report, television reports of the announcement. Media message can have a direct source. Direct reporting might involve the newspaper printing a speech made by the government ministers. And the other one, such models have a basic flaw. They see audience as uncritical individual easily influenced by whatever they read, see, or hear. Now, if we talk about from the indirect effects model, indirect effects model. The indirect effects model suggests that the media have few, if any, direct effect, but rather the messages are spread indirectly. So we have two-step follow model suggested by Katz and Lazarified. Katz 1955 two-step flow model. Two-step flow model. From the media opinion, two distinct steps we have. From the media to opinion formers, people who directly receive a message such as the news reports are interested enough to want to rely it on others. From opinion formers to spread in their social media networks, those who receive the original message in the mediated form, edited, is from the people such as family and the primary groups. So all these steps have basically direct and the indirect influence of the media on their lives. So that was 6.4 and 6.5. That was a very short topic.